Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about the books that I finished in the month of February. I finished 5 books this month, and they're actually kind of a wide array of genres. They tick a lot of boxes for my Bookopoly, which I will get into in another video. I will link that below though if you're interested in seeing how I did this month on that. So the first one is Autonomous, I think so. Yeah, Autonomous. This was a Muse Monthly book, and this one is, it's really interesting in that it felt like a really new dystopian. So it was a dystopian universe that I felt like I'd never seen before, where basically pharmaceuticals were keeping people living longer. They were, you know, providing everything that people could need. And it's about this girl who, or this woman who pirates or reverse engineers those drugs and then sells them, because obviously the rich people can afford them, but poor nations can't. So there are a lot of poor people that are dying of diseases that are easily curable by these miracle pills. They just can't afford them, and these rich nations are withholding them. Felt very much like something that could happen based on our society these days. The kind of overarching plot really has to do with the fact that the main character, reverse engineers a drug that's not a miracle drug in that way. It's something that's basically like a productivity drug, and something goes wrong and people die. And so the whole time she's basically being chased by these operatives, and she's also trying to fix the problem. So it was a really interesting look at society, but also it dealt with gender, it dealt with relationships, it dealt with a lot of really interesting things. It was very layered. I ended up kind of, I don't know, I felt like it tried to do a little bit too much in such a small book, and I ended up wanting more of storylines and less of other storylines. So I definitely think that if you're into dystopian books, this is something that you would be interested in. I thought that it was going to be more sci-fi space. It is not. There is no space in here. For some reason I thought that she was like traveling through the universe in a submarine. I don't know where I got that, because the submarine is mentioned like one time. So there's that. If you're expecting space submarine, which maybe that was just me, but if you, like me, expected space submarine, that's not a thing in here. The next book is a historical fiction. It is The Tea Planter's Daughter, and I picked up actually the second book in this series or trilogy at the used bookstore and didn't realize it was the second book, and so then I ended up getting this one for Christmas. And I love me a good historical fiction book about tea. First of all, that's what spoke to me about the series. I would say if you like The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly, you will really like this. This is very much in the same vein as that. It's about a girl who loses her family essentially, and she is torn away from everything that she knows, and then she's trying to get that back. And there's, you know, that family that she thinks has done her wrong. She's trying to get back at them by building herself up in the business that she loves. So it's a very rags to riches kind of story, and it's really interesting. It mostly takes place in England. It starts out in India, or in India, and then we end up in England, and we follow her throughout her life as she sort of deals with the loss of her family and of her home in India, and how she's coping with England. But also it's a story about a strong woman who doesn't give up. So I really like that aspect of it. I didn't think it was the strongest book. I have started the second book in the series, and they're like companion novels, so they tie in, but they don't, the central character is not the same in the next book. and I don't think I'm gonna continue. I did this with the Tea Rose series too. I read the first one, I really liked it, and then I just didn't with the rest of them. So I probably am gonna DNF the next one. But I would say again, if you like the Tea Rose, then this is gonna be right up your alley and you will probably love this. And then I picked up a short story collection, Things to Make and Break. This was in one of the moth boxes that I got, and I've been meaning to pick this up for ages. And I would say that this was really hit or miss. I don't think I gave any of the stories 5 stars. I know I gave 2 of the stories 1 star because it gets real gritty. So there were some really charming stories. I would say that overall the writing style is really up my alley. It's well written. The author is obviously really good at characters, and a lot of the stories I actually felt were just super well done in such a small chunk. So excellent short story writer. I just felt like some of these were just too graphic. So if you don't like graphic sex scenes or sexual things, there are going to be some stories in this that really turn you off. No pun intended. So I don't think this is for everyone. I liked it okay, but it's definitely not going to be one I keep around. So then I read Little Fires Everywhere, which has been a booktube darling. If you haven't seen this book around, where have you been? Because everyone seems to be talking about it. I actually received this in a Muse Monthly box as well, and I was putting it off because I was a little afraid of the hype. I didn't want that to affect me. So I finally picked it up because my audiobook for it came in at the library, and I'm glad I picked up the audiobook. I thought it was really well narrated, and I found this book to be compelling. So I got really attached to a lot of the characters, and I was interested in their stories. I was really interested in the portion of this where we get Mia's backstory. So there's all of this build up and, you know, mystery behind who Mia is and you know, where she came from, that kind of thing. She's the tenant that lives in the rental house of this posh family in this posh, manicured, orderly neighborhood, and she comes in and it kind of disrupts everything. So it follows the two families' involvements and how the kids in the family become intertwined and what that means for the different families and all of the consequences. One thing I said in my vlog that I recently did for the Time Hopathon is that this really felt like a testament of why you shouldn't be a busybody, why you should mind your own business, because so many things had all these awful consequences because the characters couldn't mind their own business. And it was really compelling. Mia's backstory, I could have had an entire book just on that. One thing I did think was weak is I felt like we had all this build up and all this research and all of these intricate plots, and everything just quickly came together at the end. And it left me really wanting more from all of the storylines, and I just wanted to know more about everybody, and I wanted more resolution than what I got. It was very open-ended at the end, and sometimes I feel like that works really well. I didn't think it worked really well with this because there were so many things that I felt like I wanted to know what happened next. And the final book that I finished in the month of February was Jane Eyre. I am not going to talk about this a whole lot because I plan to do an entire video about this. I didn't love this. The writing, really great. The character development was good. Really all I'm going to say right now is I don't understand why the back refers to this as one of the greatest romances ever written. I just don't understand. And I don't think I'm missing something. I think it's just me. So I will talk about this more in another video. Once I have that up, I will link it below in case you're interested. But yeah, wasn't a huge fan. So those are the books that I read in February. Much smaller than January, but also Jane Eyre is really dense. So I spent most of my month reading that. I did start a couple of other things right at the end that are carrying over into March, including A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, which I am loving. And yeah, I'm excited to get into March and pick up a few more sci-fi books because I was really in a sci-fi kick in January, and then I didn't pick up really any sci-fi in February. So looking forward to getting back into some more of that in March. And yeah, if you guys have read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts. What did you read in February? Let's chat in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye!